Welcome to Sunday afternoon. Hello, welcome to Sunday afternoon with MetaFactory at the Streetlight Guild. Here we are being all digital. MetaFactory aims to give you writing prompts. So for about an hour and a half, I'll give you writing prompts and you'll respond to them. First, a few thank yous. Thank you to Streetlight Guild, our home venue when we can be there in person, and now our home venue when we can't. And also thank you to Writer's Block Poetry Night, without whom none of this would be here. So thank you to Scott Woods, the force behind Streetlight Guild and one of the co-founders of Writer's Block Poetry Night. He and Brunel Bristow started this over 22 years ago. So thank you to them. I'm Louise Robertson. I assembled these writing prompts from a variety of fantastic, amazing poets. The prompts are based on other people's poems, but you're enjoined to go where they take you and not try to write in the style of the inspiring poet. Are we ready to begin? Okay, let's go. First prompt. The first prompt is based on a poem by Mary Oliver, one of my favorite poets. This is a first line prompt from one of her poems. The poem from which we pulled these words is called The World I Live In. And while I think it starts in a it starts in a way that's very unlike Mary Oliver, she's truly gifted in making anything work. And I thought this would work for a prompt. Okay? Anyway, I'm all nervous because I'm doing this for Streetlight Guild, so forgive the stumbles. Here's the prompt. You write the words, I have refused to live, and then fill in the blank. It's like, I have refused to live eating spaghetti every day. However you want to finish that line, you finish that line and make the prompt your own. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to give you a certain amount of time for each of these prompts, and you're going to use that time to write whatever comes to you. If you just go with whatever comes to you, that's one of the ways these prompts work, okay? The time may seem short to you, but it's designed to give you time to explore without bogging down in details or side events or getting in the weeds. So anyway, here's the prompt again, and then I'm going to start a 7-minute timer. You'll have 7 minutes to come up with a masterpiece. I'll have some background music so you know this isn't dead air and we are paying attention. All right, so your prompt from Mary Oliver poem, The World I Live In, is to start with these words, I have refused to live, and then you fill in the blank. I'm starting the timer now. You have 7 minutes for that masterpiece. And now I'm going to put on some background music to accompany you in your writing endeavors. Come on, music. Here it is. Shut down your internal editor and let this take you where it will. Do you hear that? That's the timer. You've gotten your 7 minutes to write a great poem, or at least maybe a great start to a poem. Let's move on to the next prompt. This prompt is based on a Robert Lashley poem that's based on a William Carlos Williams poem. And I'm willing to bet a lot of you ran into the William Carlos Williams poem sometime in your life already, especially in school, because teachers love to pull it out. Anyway, Robert Lashley has an encyclopedic knowledge of poetry, and he often uses that knowledge to push everything a little bit further. He's one of my favorite writers, and he's fun to hang out with too. Anyway, he has visited Columbus, where we're based, and yeah, so I actually have hung out with Robert Lashley, who's a West Coast poet here in the U.S. Here's the prompt. Robert Lashley patterns his poem, The Little White Dude with the DJ Quik Jheri Curls, after the Red Wheel Barrow by William Carlos Williams. Lashley takes the poem in a wildly different direction. Now you should too. Start with the beginning of the Red Wheel Barrow. As you might recall, that whole poem goes, Williams' poem goes, so much depends upon the red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater among the white chickens. Lashley's poem is different, and I won't read it here. Go find his book, go find the poem. Anyway, you start with so much depends upon, and then go where that takes you. Tell us what everything depends upon. You can pull a Williams, where you pull out just almost whatever's lying around and take it from there. Or you can pick something that you think is underappreciated. Whatever you want to do with that, go with that. I'm going to give you another 7 minutes, and then I'm going to put that background music on again, and you're going to write your little heart out. If you like this, join me Saturday mornings at 10 on Facebook, and I do similar things weekly, giving you prompts and then giving you time to respond to them. By the way, that timer is started. Let's get the background music reset. Boom. It's time for you to get writing. That's time. I hope you got something good from that prompt. I should point out that I got the title of William Carlos Williams's poem a little bit wrong in a couple of ways. The title, if I refer to it as So Much Depends Upon, that's not the title. Those are the first lines. And if you look at the screen, wheelbarrow should be one word. So, and probably in quotes. But you know what? We're writing our first drafts. Don't worry about that stuff right now. Just keep moving. And now that's what we're going to do. We're going to move on to the next writing prompt. I liked this prompt. I like the poem it's based on too. The prompt is titled, Write to Marilyn Hacker, or some other poet. In Raphael Campo's The Enemy, which a book, there's a section titled 18 Days in France. And it's primarily positioned with the poet Marilyn Hacker in mind. If there were other people in his mind, I don't know what they were. But in this case, it's called out publicly that the poet in question, who is not named, is Marilyn Hacker. And she is the Marilyn mentioned in these poems, if you look up these poems. Notably, Marilyn Hacker was at one point in time married to one of my favorite authors, Samuel Delany. Have to say that's pretty much how I found Marilyn Hacker, because I really loved Samuel Delany's novels. Yes, Delany is not straight. That's fine. They were married. They have a daughter together. Seems like it was a relationship that was successful in many ways. And anything more than that, I just don't know. Here's the prompt. Let's get past all the little tidbits of information I hear in this life about people and writers. It's your turn to write a postcard to a poet, any poet. You don't have to know them at all. It's helpful if you do know their work, but even if you kind of like, you've heard of Dante or Elizabeth Bishop and you don't really know much about them, you just want to riff on what you think you know about them, that's fine too. Plenty of great pieces of art have come from not really understanding something or seeing something straight, because you're trying to look at things slant anyway. You know that Emily Dickinson quote, don't you? Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Anyway, that's what we're doing here. No, we're doing that all the time. We are also writing a postcard to a poet or a writer or anyone. Surprise us. That's your prompt. Let me get a timer started so that you can get ready. I'm using my phone, but it's not recognizing me. There. The timer is started. I'll get that background music going. I had to write a quick text to my son. I can't text playing background music at the same time because YouTube doesn't want me to do two things at once. Thank you, YouTube, for providing this free, royalty-free background music. Moon Lake by Epic Blast Radius. There's the timer. I hope you enjoyed that prompt. I always hope you enjoy the prompts. If you're interested in sharing your work, you can just share it out there in the world, footloose and fancy-free. But you can also share it to the MetaFactory Facebook page, where like-minded people will enjoy seeing what you produce. However, there's no pressure to share, not any at all. This is not a critiquing workshop. This is not a workshop that means to put you on the spot. It just means to get you some good material to work with. It could also be, like a workout. So when those big ideas do come to you, you are all ready and in shape and can lay that down right. Okay, next prompt. This is a title prompt from a Sharon Olds poem. But I have to say, some best title prompts, if you're interested, just going and grabbing a title and seeing where it takes you. Anne Sexton and Lucille Clifton, great title prompts. Lucille Clifton, and they are both also great first line prompts people. So if you just kind of want to get the creative juices flowing, you can randomly choose Lucille Clifton or Anne Sexton poems, and they often do the trick. They're also good for what are called ghost lines, where you take the first line of something and you go with it, and then you cover up that first line and then see what's left. I was just looking at something yesterday that I thought, boy, maybe they didn't need that first line. Anyway, here's your current prompt. Can you tell how much I like Lucille Clifton and Anne Sexton? I am dragged off topic just by thinking about them. For this prompt, though, we're going to take our inspiration from Sharon Olds, from a poem In One Secret Thing, a book. The title prompt is self-exam. Start with how you came to the idea of doing a self-exam. Then consider your thoughts while doing a self-exam. It can be any kind of self-exam. You do not need to be checking for cancer, though you can be checking for cancer. It can be testing your provincial French vocabulary. Who's to say what you want to examine in yourself? Okay, so those are the ingredients. Your title is self-exam. Then you start with how you came to the idea of doing or needing to do a self-examination. And then consider your thoughts while you are participating in your own self-exam. All right, that's the prompt. Use any of this that works for you. You do not have to follow my instructions, but they're good for getting a person moving. Ready, get set, go. The timer is running. And let's get some background music. Oh, wait. I do need to make a text. All right, now let's get that background music. Restart it a little bit. Should check out the title poem in One Secret Thing. That's the best poem in the book, I have to say. First poem. Check out that first poem. There's a reason it's up front. Okay. There's the timer. I hope you got something good from that prompt. All right, let's move on to the next writing prompt. This writing prompt is from one of the poets in the Columbus area I admire most. She's a phenomenal writer and a phenomenal performer, Rose M. Smith. This prompt is taken from her poem, To a Sound of Water, in a book called Unearthing Ida. If you're interested in something cohesive and whole and moving, and each part is amazing, that would be this book of poetry, Unearthing Ida by Rose M. Smith. All right, enough background. Here's your actual writing prompt. It's a first line prompt also. And I've used it before, and it's surprising how effective it is, and that's one of the reasons I'm using it here. Plus, I get to talk about Rose. Anyway, here's your prompt. Start with the words, "She was fine when I checked her." And then see where it takes you, all right? That's all there is to this prompt. We're going to start that timer again. Get that background music cranked up again. Not cranked up. Flowing again. Boom. There's the timer. I hope you like that prompt. There's always another one right behind it. Let's go to another prompt. This prompt is based on a poem called Weathering by A.E. Stallings. It might sound a little complicated, but hear me out. I don't think it's actually complicated. It's just hard to get the idea of it right, exactly right. Okay, here's the prompt. Write about something that is haunted, but it can't be a thing that is typically haunted. So yes, coffee cups would pass this test, but no, old castles wouldn't. Okay? You also can earn extra points. You can earn extra points if you write something and add into the poem something that could explain the haunting, but you have to also dismiss it out of hand. It's not the cat playing with the electric cord. It's not. Okay, so explain and dismiss at the same time as much as you can. All right? Okay, I think you get it. You can talk about your haunted pair of glasses, but not the fall down barn being haunted, okay? You can extra points by talking about how that old hoot owl is not the source of the eerie noises, okay? Actually, that's the prompt. Stallings is a wonderful poet. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that about her. Anyway, I discovered her this year, so enjoyed her work. So that's your prompt. Let's get the timer started, and then get the background music going. Sorry about all the bouncing around. I should say, while the timer's running, if you like this thing, not only is it on Saturday mornings on Facebook, there's also a Patreon to support it. If you're interested, I have a Patreon. You can find my Patreon at Louise Robert. Wait, it's at patreon.com/Louise Robertson. And there, if you want to give a tip to the MetaFactory or to me, it lets you do that. There's a $3 a month tip jar for the MetaFactory. If you want to keep doing that level, it's fine. There are other levels. I use the money to buy books for this and to defray costs. But you don't have to. It's free without doing that at all. One of the things you get if you sign up is you get, I send out show notes. So I send out notes with everybody I mentioned, the books I mentioned. If I had quotes, I'll put them in there. And links where I can find them to materials that I use during the show. So you get that every week if you're interested. Also with a link to the video. So if you don't really want to be up on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m., you do not have to be up in the morning at 10 a.m. on a Saturday ready to write. You can play that sucker whenever you want. Someone even told me back channel that they use it to fall asleep to, and I was extremely pleased that I helped somebody fall asleep because we all need that. There's the timer. I hope you had a good time with that prompt. We have plenty more. Let's go to the next prompt. You know, typically I do all the prompts in a session from one book. I can find a book that's kind of, it's usually not a selected poems or something like that. Usually it's a book that's meant to be a book with a reason for being put together like that. And so if you do want to join me on Saturday mornings, that's what you'll get. Prompts from all one poet. And you usually end up getting kind of a feeling for the book. I benefit by reading or rereading the book. So win-win. Anyway, here's a prompt from one of the authors I formerly used in a previous MetaFactory, Chi-Win Choi. Great guy. A poet who is always challenging what is ordinarily done. He is so against typical publishing for good reasons. Typical publishers are part of the world, and they are part of the white patriarchy that dominates American literature. And that is expressed in the way they pull writing from a certain set of writers, if you know what I mean. So anyway, go find him out. He's a different kind of writer, and you will be amply rewarded by seeking out his work. Anyway, here's the prompt from a poem called Signals from Space. And it's meant to take you on a walk. Lot of poets do this. I think Mark Kelly Smith, yes, that Mark Kelly Smith who invented Poetry Slam, he is good at writing walk-around poems where you kind of take a walk. And in a different way, so is Chi-Win Choi. So here's your prompt. Mentally take a walk, but do it in bad weather or a nightmare, all right? And answer these questions to help you create an immersive poetic experience. What are you wearing? What is that bad weather or that nighttime or nightmare weather? What do you feel? And I mean this tactily, not emotionally. Is your coat scratchy? Is there water on your face? Does your hair brush your ears? What's going on? Also, what do you hear? Okay, and finally, when you're done with answering these questions, tell us about the end of loneliness. And you can take that to mean however you want to mean it, or you can just keep answering questions. What do you smell? What do you see? Who's with you? What are they saying? And so on like that. But anyway, let's get a timer started because that's how we're rolling. You have 7 minutes. And we're going to get some background music because that's how we're rolling. Get that background music going. Boom. there's the time. Ah, the timer. I tell you to be free, and then I put the yoke of time on you. Yoke. Y-O-K-E, anyway, is what I need to say. Are we ready for the next prompt? We are. Let's go. Here's the next prompt. Inspired by a K. Ryan poem. The last poem in the book, Erratic Facts, is the title poem, Erratic Facts. The technique used by this poem takes a metaphor and then talks about the metaphorical part. Not quite an extended metaphor. You're just going to go jump in the deep end of the metaphor. Like this. And please note, this is not for the poem. Totally not. It's just something I made up on the fly. Okay, so here's the example. First, the metaphor. The heel of your hand is the shape of a chicken leg. All right? Here's the second part. Talking about the metaphorical part. The leg of the chicken bumps up and down as the chicken runs. So you take that metaphor part and you just keep going with it like that. So maybe this is a little bit too much like an exercise. I don't know. It really works in the poem Erratic Facts. So you try it and yeah, I'm sure you'll come with something better than a chicken leg. But, let's not criticize the chicken leg because they're great. All right, so that's the prompt. Oh my goodness, it's already getting on to time, but don't worry, you have plenty of prompts to go. Your timer's started. Let's get the background music started. Here we go. There's the timer. I hope you like that little exercise. You know, I saw some people complaining about poets publishing their exercises. And I had to say to myself, "Bah. If your exercise is good enough to publish, go for it." And the trick is, you don't want your readers thinking it's an exercise. But I also think it's okay to write plenty of exercises and prompts. Like I said earlier, you want to stay in shape. You want to be metaphor day or anaphora day or alliteration day. You gotta be in shape. All right. Here's the next prompt for you. Now, I'm looking around high buns, and I don't seem to see a super consistent explanation for exactly what they are. And everybody is sure they have an explanation for what they are. I'm going to pattern my definition of a high bun off of Eve Ewing's. She has an amazing book. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the title. I'll look it up. She has an amazing book that's based on historical documentation of an event about 100 years ago. I think the book's called 1918. We'll look that up. And she has multiple high buns in them. So my prompt is based on Eve Ewing's version of this. And I have definitely seen other ways of expressing what she's supposed to do. So don't feel constrained by what I'm saying. And go ahead and do your own research. That's fine. This prompt is going to do this thing, and you can do something else later. That's fine. You don't need to be tied to anything, partially because when Americans take Japanese forms, we are always making them our own. So let us not be too tied down, too tethered to reality at this point. Here's your prompt. You're gonna think about it's not gonna be step-by-step instructions. You're gonna write about something in an event. Think about a scene right after an event. Okay, think of that big event. That's where you're starting. Could be a small event too, but we're saying big here. Think of a big event in your life, and we're gonna write a scene from directly after that event. Okay. 1, be sure to write in a highly descriptive way. Go in on those descriptions. You don't have to be Hemingway all the time. You can sometimes be what? Henry James? You can, who wrote Sargasso Sea? Anyway, you can be highly descriptive. Also, be sure to describe the place of the big event, the location. What does it look like? What's around you? Use your eyes. I know I'm always telling people to use their noses and their ears, but right now we're using our eyes. However that means to you. Also, no line breaks. Just be all prosy. Don't break your lines. Just go ahead and be a big paragraph user. Just be like Cormac McCarthy. No punctuation. No, I'm sorry. Don't be like Cormac McCarthy. Go ahead and use punctuation, but don't cut up your paragraphs. That's all I was going with that reference. Okay, also try to make it dreamlike or fictional. Use lots and lots of images. I have to reiterate, you can get all phantasmagorical, okay? And throw in a haiku here and there. I think it's supposed to end with a haiku or begin and end with a haiku, but you're going to get all descriptive, go in, be flowery, use all your words, and then you're going to nail down the ending with a haiku, okay? And haiku typically, very, very quickly, American haikus just tend to be a short poem with 17 syllables, 5 in the first line, 7 in the second line, 5 in the first, 5 in the last line, 5, 7, 5. It's just a syllable count, but if you want to go ahead and make sure there's a season reference in there, a lot of people are going to clap you on the back for that. Okay, are you ready? We're going to go ahead and start the timer. This prompt was inspired by the poem High Bun for July 30th by Eve Ewing. And then we're going to have that background music going. And I'm going to quickly look up Eve Ewing's books so that I can get you the proper title of that amazing book that she wrote that I'm thinking about. It's called 1919. What did I say, 1918? 1919. Great book, great cohesive, sort of not single topic book. It's got a very strong reason for being and a compelling purpose, and I found it to be a really great read. Okay, 1919 by Evie. It circles around the Chicago race riot of 1919. I was thinking of the book Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys, or Jean Rhys, I'm not sure. It's a riff of Emily Bronte's Jane Eyre. Great book. Both of them are great. It's been a minute since I've read it. There's the timer. And as we come to the end of our hour and a half of prompts, I'm going to leave you with one to work on your own. This one is based on a poem by Linda Gregg. The poem is called No More Marriages. But your prompt is, what have you vowed to never do again? Tell us about that. And tell us what you'll have instead of that thing you won't do again. And if you want a snippet of the poem, it starts, the first line is, well, there ain't going to be no more marriages. Which is a little odd because there's not, that vernacular doesn't come in a lot with her poems. But anyway, first line, well, there ain't going to be no more marriages. And the last line is, and even if I have to eat alone all those years, they're never going to do that to me. Okay? So that's the prompt to exit on. What is it that you won't do again? And please mention one of the consequences of never doing whatever it is you don't want to do ever again. Okay? So we're going to close out with this prompt. I want to thank you very much for being with me here. And since this is going to be on YouTube, I can say thank you for being here on a Sunday afternoon with me. But thank you whenever and wherever you are. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you're interested more, do find the Facebook group for the MetaFactory. I put on notifications of when I'm going to do this, which is basically Saturday mornings at 10 digitally. When we go back in the real world, we'll go back to doing these things in person, which is so very special at the Streetlight Guild. And thank you, Streetlight Guild, for having us in your home, even when we can't be in physical, real life with each other. I'm Louise Robertson. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.